Cracker Barrel cracking under pressure, abandoning their newly redesigned logo following backlash from loyal customers.
What happened to Grandpa?
The restaurant chain, known for its Southern-style cooking and comfort food, announcing that it will go back to its beloved old-timer logo featuring Uncle Herschel leaning on that barrel. The change coming just days after the company defended its $700 million rebranding campaign. The CEO appearing here on GMA just last week.
The soul of Cracker Barrel is not changing. The rocking chairs are still there, the fireplace is there, the peg game, the vintage decor, it's still there and it's working.
The company announcing it would lean into a more sleek, modern, minimalist design. But that logo change was not going over well with customers or investors. Cracker Barrel stock plunging following the reveal, wiping out nearly $100 million in value after the rebrand was announced. President Trump even getting involved, urging the company to go back to its old logo. And now, this morning, Cracker Barrel says it's listening and returning to the old-timer. Customers appear to be rejoicing.
They're ditching the new logo and going back to the old man in the barrel.
In fact, Cracker Barrel is saying in a statement this morning, we said we would listen, and we have. Our new logo is going away, and our old timer will remain. They continued on that as a proud American institution, our 70,000 hardworking employees look forward to welcoming you to our table soon. And guys,
I don't know, man. Honestly, to be honest with you, I think that updated logos have always been a thing. It's only this woke culture. And I got to be objective enough to actually say my thoughts. And I was communicating this on the Millionaire Morning Show when it first dropped, I think last week, that Cracker Barrel's logo and all of that. And I'll do another show tomorrow to break down and go into it and deep dive exactly what this means. But for me, most stocks are up and down. And when you start to talk about retail stocks, to see people or the stock price actually tanking as a result of changing the logo is pretty interesting to me, because it shows that, you know, woke culture still hasn't really gone away, whether you look at it from a conservative side or you want to look at it from a liberal side. And the fact that people were so broken about the logo itself when nothing else outside of the logo, which companies update the logo, auto manufacturers update their logo, Porsche updates its logo, like most companies at some point update the logo, Cadillac updated their logo, so on and so forth. And people had a huge fallout from it. Honestly, it just turned into true, really free publicity so that Cracker Barrel, because I wasn't even thinking about it, Cracker Barrel got in people's minds again. But I don't think that it was really that big of a deal. None of it was anything that I was going to make a big deal about. I've probably been to Cracker Barrel maybe 4 times in my entire life, and all of them was as a result of like a road trip that I was coming back from or going on with family, and somebody said, hey, let's stop at Cracker Barrel. The logo was never anything under consideration. I do think that they still need to go through with the rebrand of the stores itself. A lot of people that were complaining, they only complaining because, in my opinion, they only heard it from a bunch of other people so that they can complaining. So it's kind of a Me Too culture that people participate in, because everybody wants to have some vested interest in whether or not things are too woke or they too liberal. Simplifying the logo, I think that they should still use both, but they should just say that they're going back to the original. Seeing the old man on the barrel, I don't think that made any difference whether or not people were going to go in there. I think that the bigger problem that Cracker Barrel is experiencing is that they have an aging clientele base that is growing older and they are dying off, and so they're trying to reach a new customer base, which if I would have known that they was going back to the new logo or the old logo, then I probably would have deep dove. And I told people on the Millionaire Morning Show, unfortunately for me, I only do long-term investing. I don't do any short-term investing, even though you may get some short-term profits. You could have made $100,000 off of the it going down and then it going back up as far as the stock price. Because if I'd have known they was just going to switch back to the old logo, then I probably would have bought it on the dip. You know what I'm saying? And so a lot of this, in my opinion, just seems like free branding, market manipulation. You know that People are going to talk about it. When you go online or you go on these Good Morning America, you do an interview, people start deep diving into the background. You talk about a loss of $100 million in valuation. Eventually that all comes back or whatever. The bigger question is, what is getting people to go into the restaurant, or what would get people to go into the restaurant? Because prior to them even announcing the logo change, they had the sales in the restaurant, same store sales, was absolutely collapsing.
Is Cracker Barrel. They have gone back to the old logo. They listen to you, the customer. Here's a quote from the restaurant. We thank our guests for sharing your voices and love for Cracker Barrel. We said we would listen, and we have. Our new logo is going away, and our old timer will remain. At Cracker Barrel, it's always been and always will be about serving up delicious food, warm welcomes, and the kind of country hospitality that feels like family. As a proud American institution, our 70,000 hardworking employees look forward to welcoming you to our table soon.
And this, of course, came after President Trump issued a a truth message of his own yesterday, which went everywhere. And apparently the CEO of Cracker Barrel called the president yesterday to thank the president for his message urging Cracker Barrel to quit all of their ridiculous changes. And then
you got Trump tweeting it. That's more free publicity. Now the question that I'm really asking myself is, will the woke liberals be upset and say, we're not going to Cracker Barrel because they should have stood 10 toes down, and we don't like the fact that Trump actually was talking about Cracker Barrel?
And Trump put on Truth Social, congratulations, Cracker Barrel, on changing your logo back to what it was. All of your fans very much appreciate it. Good luck into the future. Make lots of money. And most importantly, make your customers happy again.
So a couple of things. I mean, before they did this logo revamp, they were having problems with the business model. They were needing to refresh. But what you do is add a different, maybe add something to the macaroni and cheese, or you have a different salad dressing. You put some different spices into your croutons. You probably shouldn't revamp everything.
Get like a Taylor Swift item on the menu.
Well, that would have certainly worked. Marcus Lemonis, the investor and host of The Fixer, formerly host of The Prophet, he said that they should just admit, we made a mistake. And it turns out they did just that. Listen.
When you get a reaction, you should react to that as well. And I think what the CEO needs to do right this moment today is come out and say, look, we had a great idea. You obviously didn't like it. You're our customer. We're not going to change it. We thought about it. You responded. You reacted. It showed up in our registers. We're not going to change it. I've made a million mistakes before. But when the customer comes out and the market comes out and says, we don't like it, you don't need to double down.
He would know. He's the CEO of Camping World, the biggest RV company. He's the one with the big American flag, and a lot of people have said you need to take it down, and he does, and he fights for that American flag. And he also just bought Bed Bath & Beyond. But his point is correct. The customer is always right. Isn't that what your parents...
Well, I don't know if the customer is always right, but what I do know is you do have to move with the times, and the best thing, regardless of whether you was on one side or you was on the other side, the best thing for them to do was to pivot, so that they can ultimately say, you know what, we was wrong. They got the free publicity. You're going to have the bounce back in the stock price. And then ultimately, you will always still be able to continue to get the visibility for the customers. Honestly, I think that this was more than a $100 million campaign as far as that you would have spent to get visibility into the store with all of the free publicity and the organic traffic that's probably coming to Cracker Barrel and stuff like that. I don't know if it's going to register in their sales, but they were in a sales slump with the old logo and said, we're going to see what's happening now that they got more visibility, right? So let me know what y'all think inside of the comments. Make sure y'all tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description. Teach Hanley, 40% off your first order, 20% off for life. I love you. I appreciate you. And how many of y'all are actually going to Cracker Barrel in the first place? I'm just curious. Let me know inside of the comments.